All right, everybody, welcome back. Week 13 here on Patriots Press Pass. It's Mike Kadlick from WEEI, joined as always here every week by none other than CLNS Media's Taylor Kyles. We're here to run through the NFL slate as we do every week, presented and powered by OddsR, the AI machine that tells you what to bet and what not to bet. Go check it out, oddsr.com/presspass. You get a 30-day free trial, so make sure you go check that out. And when you do actually make your bets, head over to FanDuel Sportsbook, fanduel.com/Boston. They'll get you some bonus bets over there, which you can use to bet on the games that we're going to run through today. So let's start with, as we always do, our my hometown team. I know you're here now, not technically your hometown, but the New England Patriots.
I grew up here. I'm like a semi-transplant.
Yeah, you've been everywhere and nowhere, so I just kind of attribute your hometown to the United States. So Chargers at Patriots. Ooh, two of your hometowns, LA and
Patriots. Okay.
Yeah,
oh,
exactly. So Chargers coming across 5.5 point favorites at FanDuel this weekend in Foxborough are the Chargers. Patriots underdogs at home. The total is 40.5. Taylor, we've been down there every single day this week. Obviously, the big news. I want to say it should be big news across the NFL. I feel like it's not really getting as much traction as it should. I feels like it's so honed in here, but they haven't really talked about it nationally. But the Patriots are going to make a quarterback change. It sounds like, feels like, and looks like Bailey Zappe is going to be under center for the Patriots against the Chargers. So that's sort of the big news here. Obviously, the Chargers come in 4-7, but in my opinion, anyway, one of the most talented rosters in football. Seem to be. The narrative is sort of they're held back by their head coach a little bit. Obviously, not as entrenched in that team as I could be. So, not really sure what the whole, problems are over there. But regardless, they're 4-7 with a stacked roster. So, kind of two disappointing teams kicking off this weekend at Gillette Stadium. So, like I said, Patriots 5.5 point underdogs. What do you make of the matchup? How do the Patriots win this one? Can they win this one? And let me get your game pick before I give mine.
I mean, like you said, the Chargers aren't super functional. You know, they've had plenty of their own issues. It gets similar to you. Like, I don't really follow the Chargers anymore. Right. So I don't really know the ins and outs. I will say I think they have a chance to win if the pass rush and the coverage can kind of complement each other like we saw last week, where the coverage broke down at times, but the pass rush finally started to get it going with like stunts and blitzes and Christian Barmore. And if they run the ball, you know, this has been the worst run defense in the NFL over the past 3 weeks. They run into some tough rushing offenses, right. But the Patriots have been one of the best rushing offenses as well. So I think if they really stick to that plan, if they don't turn the ball over, which honestly it feels like something that should, you mention every week. It's like, don't turn it over, but it's such a given in New England. It's kind of like it's going to happen. So you just want to minimize opportunities for the quarterbacks to do it. And it'll be interesting to see what Zappe does when the plan is centered around him. Like last week, I asked him, how does it feel to have to come into games cold? And he said, that's the hardest part. It's kind of one of the more candid comments he's given us. And this week, he's not admitting that he's starting, but, getting those opportunities, at least maybe mentally, he'll be able to come into this game with more confidence. We'll see the Zappe we saw last year who can just, do what's asked of him in simple situations. That said, I do not think they're going to win. I think the Chargers will probably win this one handily just because I don't think that they've shown that they can hang with a quarterback like Herbert. They've had a couple softballs with Minshew and then with DeVito. But, when they've gone against the good quarterbacks, when we see this version of the roster that's missing its best pieces, it's been tougher for them to be as competitive. I think the Chargers probably I'd say they cover. Yeah. And I think this probably going to be a relatively low scoring game. Like I can't see the Patriots getting on the board unless they really do stick to the run. They're on the board multiple times. Low scoring game where the Chargers win decisively.
I think so too, and I agree with you. Like, Zappe might give them a little bit of a jolt, like early. You might see their maybe even go down and get 3 or get 7, like right off the bat, because that happens, and it's sort of it gives you a boost, like new quarterback, new life, new something to play for. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to it throughout the course of the game, I just don't see the offense all of a sudden clicking just because you make a move like Mac to Zappe. So I'm with you. I think the Chargers probably cover this one, 5.5 points. I wrote about it on CLNSmedia.com with a betting preview, so you can check out the full preview and prediction there. Give it a nice little plug. But I think the Chargers win this one handily. I think you're right when you talk about the quarterbacks too, where they played even Sam Howell. Like they scored 20-something points, and then he threw for over 300 yards. So, like, they
Right.
haven't been great against even not great quarterbacks. And now you have Justin Herbert coming in, who's one of the best in football. So I don't think it's going to be I don't think it's going to be that close. I think the Chargers win this one. So let's kick it to a Sunday afternoon contest, Cardinals at Steelers. And I know this whole segment here, Patriots Press Pass, is supposed to be the games of the week. I do think this one, although it doesn't sound that exciting, Cardinals versus Steelers, both sides of it sort of relate to the Patriots because Patriots and Cardinals are sort of going at it back-to-back, scoreboard watching for the path to the number one pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. Cardinals obviously 2-10, Patriots 2-9. So watching that one to see what happens with this one. And then the Steelers, who are 7-4, it feels like one of the worst 7-4 football teams I've ever seen. They just sort of find their way into wins. And not that they're necessarily
Mike Tomlin
bad.
effect.
Yeah, exactly, right. He's just there, and he gets that team to win games. And next Thursday, the Patriots are heading to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers as well. So keeping my eye on this one, the Steelers are 5.5 point home favorites against the Cardinals. The total is 41.5. Kyler Murray back for the Cardinals. So interesting to see how he plays as well. What do you make of this one? What do you make of these teams? And what's your pick?
I think it's going to be low scoring, but I think it's going to be close. I think the Cardinals, with Kyler Murray, obviously that Steelers pass rush is legit. But at the same time, Kyler is one of those guys who can make it a nightmare on opposing pass rushes because he's so elusive and so dynamic as an athlete. So, yeah, I'd say low scoring game in this one, but I would take the under. I think that
41.5.
they'll be able to keep it close. But at the same time, I trust the Steelers to finish just because that's what they've been doing all season is finding ways to win. And with teams like that, and then a team like the Cardinals where they've been competitive, but haven't always been able to find ways to win, I feel like logic just kind of leans you towards the guys who've been more consistent.
I'm with you. I think the Cardinals have kept games close, relatively close. They've been in it since Kyler came back, even though they are 2-10. So I mentioned the scoreboard watching before, but even keeping an eye on the Cardinals to, yes, maybe pull off a win so the Patriots could potentially jump them in the NFL draft order, but also watching Kyler Murray and seeing, if he can sort of show that he should be Arizona's franchise quarterback. That way that even if they are above you, they might, even if they do now have Marvin Harrison Jr., which is, maybe a potential Patriots target, well, then you just kind of back yourself into a quarterback, one of those top two guys. So I know there's still a lot of football left, and we've sitting here and it's not even, or it now is December 1st, but we're already talking about NFL draft order, but that's just kind of the boat we're in here with the Patriots. So that's why we're looping all this stuff into it. So I am with you, though. I think low scoring game, Cardinals at Steelers. I do think the Cardinals cover 5.5. I something with them and Kyler lately, they're keeping games close. So I don't know if they'll win it, but I do think they'll keep it close. So that's that one. Let's move on. Continuing in the AFC East. But before we do, like I said, FanDuel.com. That's where you can bet on all these games. So let's take a listen to our friends at FanDuel.
Score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action, NFL. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including you got spreads, you get your player props, you got over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/Boston and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
That's FanDuel, FanDuel.com/Boston. Make every moment more over at FanDuel. Go get your $150 in bonus bets where you can bet on Falcons at Jets because the Falcons are heading up the East Coast. A big one. Yeah. Taking on the New York Jets, trying to keep these games of the week AFC East centric as much as we can. Falcons are road favorites at the Meadowlands, -1.5. The total is 34. Also trying to, when I go through and pick these games, connect and keep storylines relevant. And so Aaron Rodgers returned to practice this week for the Jets. I found that pretty interesting. The more I think about this whole thing, the more I watch it, the more I really think about the fact that this man tore his Achilles like 3 months ago. I'm starting to think it's more of just an act, and he's just kind of trying to keep like himself and the Jets relevant. And it not that that's necessarily a bad thing. I just don't think that I don't think he's going to be able to come back. And I also think that these games, like games against the Falcons, where you're starting Tim Boyle and, Rodgers himself said it this week on McAfee, like, I'm only going to come back if we're in playoff contention. These are the games that are going to matter, which is why it's interesting to, note the fact that they need to go and still win these games if you think Aaron Rodgers is going to come back from that torn Achilles ankle injury. So, like I said, Falcons 1.5-point road favorites, according to FanDuel, and the total is 34. Tim Boyle starting. Atlanta's still going with now Desmond Ridder, but they have Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, like some young, really solid, talented weapons on offense. And I'm pretty sure Atlanta's also first in the NFC South right now. So they're playing for a lot, playing for a potential playoff berth. So what do you make of this matchup, Taylor? Who wins it?
This is kind of a tough one because I feel like the Jets are just kind of coming apart at the seams. Like they're such a talented team, but at the same time, like they're not really an easy one to bet on. And obviously, like, maybe Rodgers gives them some kind of an emotional boost. But I mean, I don't know how much he's going to help you when you're already kind of in the position you're in. But then it's like also the Falcons who, don't inspire much confidence either. Let me actually, what's the Falcons schedule been like? Let me actually see how competitive they've been, because I cover the Patriots. This is one of those where I'm not ashamed to say I haven't been watching a whole lot of Falcons games. All right, so they broke a 3-game losing streak against the Saints. Yeah, 24-16. You know what? I will say that they ride the wave, carry that momentum into this game. Jets are right now in a 4-game losing streak of their own. So, yeah, I'll go with the Falcons, but it's not an inspired pick.
That's, you're talking about, Rodgers keeping them upright and kind of motivated. And like I said, keeping his name in the news. I sort of just think that he probably saw that, we're on a 4-game losing streak. I'll come back to practice so that we're still talking about me. We're still talking about this team, when really, I'll come back if the playoffs are, in picture, and the playoffs are in the picture. Jets lose, Falcons win. Easy enough to me. I think they keep rolling because they have to, because again, 5-6, but still at the top of the NFC South. Crazy. They're playing for a playoff berth. Jets aren't really playing for much. So I'm going to take the Falcons and sneaky over 34. I think that Jets defense that we talk about on this show every week, slowly losing steam because they have not much to play for with the offense doing what they're doing. So Falcons -1.5 over 34. Let's continue on. NFC. My true game of the week, probably yours, probably most of America's game of the week. The 49ers heading to Philly to take on the Eagles. -2.5-point favorites are the 49ers on the road. Shocking. 47.5 points is the total in this one. Eagles 10-1, Niners, I believe 9-2. If I have that correct. 8-3. Niners 8-3. And so again.
Oh yeah, they lost. Yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
They were on
Anyway, Eagles road dogs 10-1, best team in football, I think. Kind of surprised that that's the total, or the spread rather. I'm gonna go out and give my pick first because, as I say it, I don't want to overthink it. I think the books are trying to make you overthink it, but I'm gonna take the Eagles -2.5. The total is 47.5. I'm gonna take the over. I think it's high scoring, even though these are two great defenses. But overall, Brock Purdy, Jalen Hurts, big names, big storylines, NFC matchup. Taylor, what do you make of it, and who do you think wins this one?
Yeah, I'm not overthinking it. I'm going with the Eagles because I like their trenches better. I think the 49ers offensive line is kind of a sneaky weakness. Obviously, they got Trent Williams, but I think there's some other holes, especially on the interior for them. And I think the Eagles are stacked in the trenches on both sides of the ball, and that can be the difference maker, especially 49ers are loaded on their defensive line. So, yeah, not overthinking this one. I'm going with the Eagles. I think if you want Purdy and Jalen Hurts toe-to-toe, no disrespect to Brock Purdy, I really do think he's better than even I thought in terms of his and make plays.
With you on Purdy. Yep.
Yeah. Like he's not just the Jimmy Garoppolo. Like he has 3 throws in his bag, and he's going to hit them and throw them whether they're there or not. I think Purdy's a little step above that, but still, the Eagles are the Eagles, and I think that kind of speaks for itself.
Yeah, I think so too. What do you think of the total? Because like I said, 47.5, it feels high, even though they're two solid defenses. I think they're going to score points, but what do you think? High scoring, low scoring? What's your pick on 47.5?
I have a feeling it's going to be right under that. I think because of the offensive line situation and because I think the Eagles are going to be able to stand up to the Niners more than people might expect. But then also the fact that I think the Eagles are going to be able to move the ball, and that's just going to force the 49ers to figure it out and get it together. And they are a well coached and they're a good team. I think it's going to be a shade under the total.
All right, Taylor's taking the under. We got two primetime matchups coming up: Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football. Before we get to them, though, if you want to go to these games, go check out our friends at SeatGeek, who have a word for you right now.
I've been looking for the best deal on Celtics tickets, and with over 28 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. There are more than 70,000 events every single day on SeatGeek, including concerts, sports festivals, and more. With the NFL, NBA, and NHL seasons in full swing, you don't want to miss out. SeatGeek has your tickets to every game. Plus, artists like Travis Scott are on tour. They put all the tickets across the web in one place to make sure you're getting a good deal. Each ticket is rated on a scale of 1 to 10, so look for the green dots. Green means good and red means bad. Every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee, and SeatGeek is the only site that lets you return your tickets ahead of the event with swaps. So as you know, I always come through for you guys. You can use my code DREAMERSPRO for $20 off tickets at SeatGeek. That's $20 off your first purchase with promo code DREAMERSPRO. Make sure you check the link in the description to download the app.
Alrighty, Sunday Night Football, Sunday night, Chiefs at Packers. Chiefs heading to Lambeau Field. Chiefs are road favorites, -6. The total is 42.5. We just saw probably the best Packers game of the season for that offense. Jordan Love looked really good on Thanksgiving afternoon. They take down the Lions. Packers hitting a little bit of stride here, so interested to see what you think of them in this matchup. The Chiefs, though, best team in the AFC still, I think, even though they're sort of struggling in the offensive pass catchers department. I know we know that well and good here in New England about stuff like that.
Very familiar.
And of note, Chiefs Patriots got flexed. So even though the defending Super Bowl champions in Week 15 were coming to Foxborough, they still found a way to take the Patriots off prime time. So we'll get into all that in a few weeks, but I just find it interesting that now we're talking about the Chiefs and they got themselves flexed. So anyway, Chiefs the favorites according to FanDuel up at Lambeau. Patrick Mahomes, Jordan Love, Andy Reid's old team where he used to coach up in Green Bay. So wasn't the head coach, but he was on their staff. So what do you make of it? Who do you like? And what are your thoughts on this game?
I think Chiefs. I think that I just think they're a much more talented team. Also, I feel like there's the obvious, like I'm not betting against Mahomes, I'm not betting against Kelsey, and obviously they had a rough game where they had all the drops and everything in their last matchup, which or am I thinking of a couple weeks ago? I might be getting mixed up. But regardless, I think that the Packers kind of benefited from going against the Lions defense. It's ailing a little bit. I think they're a bit of a weak spot for that team right now. Obviously, the Packers are starting to find some kind of groove, but I think that the Chiefs defense combined with just having to go toe-to-toe, like I'm taking Mahomes every time over Jordan Love. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs. Give me the spread again.
For the spread is Chiefs -6. The total is 42.5 points.
I kind of want to go with the under for points. And then I still think that the Chiefs can cover. I think that it's probably going to be one of those where it's close early on, maybe like even early into the third quarter, and then something happens and the Chiefs run away with it a little bit.
All right, I like it. I'm going to give you a final score prediction on this one too, because I'm thinking about it with the number. So I'm going to go 20-17 Chiefs. So I think the Packers cover +6. They always play them tight, especially at Lambeau. This sort of seems like not a rivalry, but I feel like there's always kind of Packers-Chiefs games, prime time, that are pretty good. And so I like it here. I'm going to take the Packers with the points. I do think the Chiefs win, and I'm going to go under 42.5. I think, like you mentioned, that Chiefs defense, really good, mixed with the struggles the Chiefs are having on offense. I'm going to go with the under 42.5. So those are the picks. That's Sunday night. One more game for you here. Monday Night Football, the Bengals at the Jaguars. Obviously, this would have been a much better premier AFC matchup if our friend Joe Burrow was not out for the season with that torn ligament in his wrist. But that's the case. So Bengals have Jake Browning, the man from the University of Washington, manning that offense. Even he popped up on the injury report this week. So that Bengals quarterback room, no bueno. But obviously, they have T. Higgins. They have Jamar Chase. They have elite pass catchers. Defense is pretty good, run by Louis Anarumo. So they're heading to the Jaguars. Doug Peterson, Trevor Lawrence, the whole 9 yards. That that team is what it is. They're leading the AFC South, looking like they're going to get back to the playoffs for a second year in a row. And at home, they are 8.5-point favorites against Jake Browning's Cincinnati Bengals. Total is a low 38.5. Thinking they don't think the Bengals are going to score many points in this one. But Taylor, what do you think happens in this game?
I agree. I could talk myself into a tizzy here, but I think that the Jaguars are going to kind of run away with this one.
All right.
I think they're going to score a lot of points, or at least a decent amount of points, and I don't think it's going to be reciprocated by the Bengals. Wow, so disappointing. This would have been so much fun.
I know.
With a healthy Bengals team. But yeah, don't overthink it. Yeah. It's the Jaguars are going to win this one pretty handily. Maybe on the points.
38.5 is low.
Yeah, but even still, it's like if the Jaguars score 28 and I've been saying under, I'll take the point or go over, but the points.
All right. Taylor says over 38.
Feeling frisky.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think this is a don't overthink it game with the Bengals. Quarterback's the most important position in football. We all know that. And losing a top 2 quarterback in Joe Burrow is never going to help your team or make things any better. So I think the Jaguars win it. I think they cover their 8.5. I also think this one goes just a tad over 38.5 because it is low, and I still think that with the weapons they have on offense, that they can get it done here. So that's that. That's going to do it for us here. Make sure again to go to oddsr.com/presspass. Get your 30-day free trial of OddsR. Also make all of your picks over at FanDuel.com. Go to FanDuel.com/Boston. Sign up. And you can get $150 in bonus bets at FanDuel.com/Boston. We'll be back next week for Week 14. For Taylor Kyles of CLNS Media, I'm Mike Kadlick from WEEI. Check us out on Twitter at TKyles39, at Mike Kadlick down below. And make sure to follow all of our Patriots and NFL coverage over there. So thanks for watching. See you soon, and we'll talk to you next week.